Hey folks, you got Mr. MegaManFan coming at you with another unboxing and testing video, and this one is something that was ordered a few months ago that just arrived. It is a pair of 8BitDo or 8BitDo, depending on how you pronounce it, wireless controllers. But these are not your typical 8BitDo. These are custom for vintage NES and SNES Bluetooth 2.4 gigahertz remotes. They have the actual adapters for NES and SNES ports, the correct pinouts for the controllers. So this makes them quite unique in that you can make your original Nintendo or Super Nintendo wireless. You no longer need a corded controller. Now, there have been a few attempts to make products like this in the past. One that I bought as far back as the 2000s that ran on 2 AAA batteries, but these are lithium battery rechargeable controllers and obviously a much higher quality of signal, not just standard infrared remote type signals or low power radio frequencies. This is the real deal, so to speak. And it's not cheap. It's $24.99 for each one, before tax, of course. Free shipping if you have Amazon Prime, but you're going to pay for it wherever you get it from, whatever they charge you for tax or shipping. But is it worth it? That is what we're going to find out in this video, because I'm not just going to take these things out of the box and show them off to you. I'm actually going to put them to the test on my vintage consoles. We've already opened the SNES one, so let's move on and get this NES one open. Nicely, it's a simple flap. There's no product seals that I have to peel off or cut through to get to it. And they're each well packaged in a simple plastic tray with the instruction manual underneath, and conveniently they've also included a charge cord for each one for the top port. These are interchangeable, by the way. You could use the charge cord for the NES on the SNES and vice versa. These adapters, however, are not interchangeable. They will only work with each individual model. That's obvious, I think, because NES and SNES have completely different pinouts, but just in case you didn't know that, now you do. So, now that we've got them out of the box, let's see how they perform. Here's the NES one, hooked up to my top loader, and right now I've got it plugged into charge. But as you can see, I've got Kid Icarus running on the TV in the background, and I'm controlling it without having a controller plugged into my top-loading NES. You might just be able to see it right in the rightmost side of the screen, sitting next to a sharp CRT. That's where the top loader is. That's how far back I'm sitting from it, and that's how far back both are from the TV. As you can see, I'm using the correct 4:3 aspect ratio. I'm not stretching it out to fill the whole screen and making everything look like garbage. And yes, I would say this is a successful test of the NES wireless controller. Even though I've got it plugged in right now to charge, so it's not truly wireless at this point. Once it's fully charged, I can take that cord off the top and I can play Kid Icarus or pretty much anything else I want. And conveniently, for those of you who own the Analog Mini, you can also use the home button to go back to the menu on your wireless 8BitDo NES controller. This won't have any functionality for me on a top-loading NES to do that. I'm not sure if it has any functionality for retro AVS or if you're using something like the EverDrive N8 Pro, because I don't have either of those products. I can't testify to whether or not the home button is recognized by either of those systems or can be programmed to be recognized, but it is there, and I know it works with analog because Analog even sells these through their website, analog.co. Their shipping can be kind of expensive though, so if you have Prime and you're already paying for it, you might just want to take advantage of that. Incidentally, this is plug and play. You just plug the receiver into your Nintendo and turn it on, and it automatically starts searching for the Bluetooth for the 2.4 gigahertz signal. Once you push start on your controller, it's synced. And if for any reason you lose sync, there's a reset button that you can hold that will cause it to search for the receiver again. So let's just say you walk out of the room with it in your hand and you lose the signal, just come back and push the reset button and it will search for the receiver again, and then you're good to go. I thought Kid Icarus was a particularly useful game to test out the functionality with, because this first level is a strictly vertical platforming ascent, which isn't the easiest thing to do with any controller because this game is a little slippery at times with the controls, especially making this ascent. And you have to be somewhat precise with your jumps and where you land, but I was able to do it successfully with this controller, so to me that speaks to the quality of the product. I would say this is a win. Let's test out the Super Nintendo one now, shall we? I've got the SD to SNES running in my Super Nintendo. No added functionality for that as far as I'm aware, but you can use the in-game hooks if you have them enabled, and then you can hit a button combo on any controller, whether it's a wireless one or a wired one, and you can use the in-game hooks to go back to the main menu. Of course, some games are not compatible with that, so in the SD to SNES main menu, you always have the option to turn it on or off. And once again, I thought I should choose a game that's suitable to testing out the quality of the controller. Gradius 3 seemed like a good choice because you need to use the full range of controls at your disposal as quickly as possible. You've got to be dodging the enemies, you've got to be collecting the upgrades, you've got to activate the upgrades, you've got to constantly be dodging the bullets flying your way and the enemies coming at you. You are needing a lot of inputs in a lot of time, and lag would not be acceptable in a game like Gradius 3. Don't blame my performance on the controller here. Blame it on me having a lack of practice for not having put in Gradius 3 in a while. You really have to get warmed up and get into the groove. But as you can see, whatever I'm pushing on the controller, the screen is responding in kind, in time. My name is not RetroRGB, so I can't give you a 100% definitive assessment of this being lagless, but for me as a gamer, it feels right, it plays right. Nothing seems off. It's not any better or any worse than if I had a physical controller plugged into the Super Nintendo, so if I can't tell the difference, I would call that a successful test. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. I do recommend the 8BitDo wireless controllers, 8BitDo, whatever you say, whatever you choose to call them. I think for NES and SNES, these are remarkably good and are going to unclutter a lot of game rooms from long cords going all over the place, especially if you have a TV as far back in your game room setup as I do. You're not going to be able to run it unless you have huge amounts of extension cords. So this could be a lifesaver for many people, and it certainly will make it a lot more fun for me to play these consoles going forward. As always, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. You know all the things to do, don't you? It's whatever YouTuber asks you to do. Once again, Mr. MegaManFan saying thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.